Hello, I'm Amy and this video is part of my Reknit Revolution project. I'm going to show you how to knit a trim to finish off a cut edge as part of the Cardiganise treatment as shown here. You can adapt the Cardiganise process to add a trim to any cut edge, like for example a new neckline. I've shown how to cut and secure the fabric and how to pick up stitches through the knit in previous videos, and so this is a sort of one I prepared earlier showing that plus the first bit of knitting. So just to explain, on this piece I picked up stitches as shown in the previous video all along this edge, just a little bit in from the cut edge, and you'll see that I was able to do that across the rib, and then when I got to the neck I just carried on, so it went from the main body fabric into the neck, just carried on following the same pattern. So I picked up those stitches and then I knitted 3 rows in stocking stitch. I did those on straight needles and then transferred it onto a circular needle, which you need to do in order to do the next bit I'm going to show you now, which is picking up the back of this trim. Okay, so I could have knitted it on the circular all the way along if I wanted to, so but it needs to be on a circular at this point, so you've got the flexibility there. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this in a little bit so you don't have to watch every single manoeuvre, but this is the main next step. So you've picked up the stitches and knitted 3 rows. Put the knitting onto a circular needle. You're then going to turn to the back of the fabric and you're going to pick up kind of the back. This is the back of the yarn that was picked up through the knit previously. Okay, so this kind of dotted line of red yarn, and I'm going to go from left to right, and if I end up with the point of my needle at this end, it means that I can carry on with the live yarn that's ended there, and I've got less ends to sew in. Okay, so I'm just going to show you with the first few and then pause and show you when I've done a bit more. Okay, so I'm using a much finer needle than I'm going to knit on, because these stitches are going to be quite tight and I need that kind of flexibility to get into them. So I'm going from left to right and I'm going from front to back through each one, making sure to not split the yarn or pick up anything that I shouldn't. Okay, so just work your way along, you get the idea. So I will be picking up all the way down here, all the way to there, and then continuing knitting with the live yarn. And I'm going to knit 2 rows. Okay, so I'll show it you again when I've picked all the way down to here and then knitted 2 rows, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so now I've continued knitting and I've added a bit to those stitches that I picked up at the back. So just to explain, I went all the way along picking up the stitches that were kind of the loops at the back of that original pickup row, and I then worked 2 rows in a stocking stitch. So it was a purl row and I've just done a knit row, take me to here. I then pulled the circular needle back through, so these stitches on the needle at the front, this front flap, are kind of there ready to be knitted, and there's the ones at the back. So hopefully now you can see how we're going to make a little sort of sandwich around this raw edge. If you found you had too much raw edge here, if you'd gone quite far in from the edge, you could trim it at this point. And now I'm going to knit 2 together, one from the front needle and one from the back needle, and that'll close up this trim. So just as a reminder, I did 3 rows of stocking stitch on this one, 2 rows of stocking pick up, and then 2 rows of stocking stitch on that one. If you find you want this bit to be a bit deeper, you could do 4 rows and 3 rows. I do that sometimes. but it's quite nice to do it like this because then you're ready on a knit row. Okay, so I'm going to go through the first stitch on that needle and through the first stitch on that needle, wrap through, and then slide off both of them at once. Into that one, wrap through, slide off both at once. I'll just do a couple more so you can see what's happening. You could do variations of this, of course. If you purled this row, you'd get a kind of bar of stitches at the front. You could have purled that first row to get a bar there. All those variations look nice. You could try them out by sampling before you settle on your final design. Okay, let's do a few more, and then basically that's it in terms of the tricky bit. So there we go. Let me just move those up so I can show you from both sides. So here's this little sandwich finish that's enclosing the raw edge. Here it is at the front. I'll show you on the other side. Also neat, when you finish off you'll just kind of tuck in that edge. You can sew up with that thread. Yeah, really satisfyingly neat. After you've done this row, this kind of 2 needles together row, you can then add a little placket using whatever stitch you want. Probably something that lays flat like garter stitch or moss stitch. Remembering to do buttonholes if you need buttonholes. And that's basically it. So I'm going to leave you there and wish you well in your cardiganising adventures. Oh, just to say, the final thing to do actually would be to give it a nice steam when you've finished the knitting. That'll just help the fibres to relax into their new positions. And that's all. Thank you.